everything that's going south starts with digestion and the ability of the gut to do its job properly, to keep the outside and get the nutrients to the inside safely. So that's the whole ball game right there.
Said live on my end.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you all. This has been a day of technical difficulties. So I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, the original holistic pet health coach. For some reason, I guess it picked us back in. Anyway, so Facebook decided we shouldn't broadcast into the holistic pet health group, and now it's decided we should again. So apologies for any expletives that may have been uttered. But with me today is the fabulous Sandy Reynolds, one of our early graduates from the Holistic Pet Health Coach Certification Program. I've had the pleasure of meeting you in person twice now, which has been fabulous. The last time at our colleague Becky Scott's beautiful store Fetching Dog in Scottsdale, Arizona. Sandy, right on. It was like, wow, what Becky has accomplished there is truly amazing. So if y'all are in the Scottsdale area and you need really fantastic food, supplies, et cetera, she's a great resource. And Sandy also is in that area. So that's part of why we're here, to let you know where folks are, how you can reach them, how to get in touch with them. So Sandy, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
it is my deep pleasure to have you here. And it's pretty interesting to me how you got here. You had a whole career in insurance sales, and it's wow. How did you get from there to being a holistic pet health coach?
I decided to get off the hamster wheel of stress and find something that I love. And I love animals, and I couldn't imagine being a less stressful chosen career. Let's put it that way.
Sweet.
Insurance was something that I was really good at. I did love doing it, but the daily grind and the hours, it just takes a toll on your health. And maybe going through the pandemic, also, all of us reevaluated a few things. And I thought, I want that philosophy: do something you love, and you'll never work a day again in your life. So I thought, now's my time to reinvent what I want the second act to be. So here we are.
That's amazing. So uh, tell me a little bit about why you decided, okay, you've gone from insurance to doing something you love. How did you know this was the thing that you love and that you really need to be doing?
So I have a 13-year-old dog that has been, I shouldn't say sick a lot, but she's had a lot of stomach and gastrointestinal issues since the day we rescued her. We weren't
Wow.
told of any of that stuff before we got her, but we welcomed her into our home and found out that, oh my, we need some help. And going to our vet, whom we love, but telling me, you're going to have to just try different foods, eliminate, read labels. How many of us have read labels? I literally had 3 shopping carts at the pet store and bags tipped over, and the list was 5 miles long, and I didn't know what any of it meant. And every bag was a nightmare. So we just did the best we could. We found one that worked okay, and we did that for years and years. Then the pet food company sold to a different big box brand, and they changed the formulary. My dog couldn't eat anymore, and everything I gave her made her sick. So I asked the vet about, I want to cook for her, what's the best balanced diet, what can I do? And he just said, I don't know, we aren't taught that much nutrition in school, and you're just going to have to look out there and see what you've got. We happened to be traveling when this happened in our RV with our other dog, and I went into a pet food store in the area that we were in, and the ladies there were so amazing. They had something for everyone, but a lot of holistic and healthy treats, food options, a tripe, just all kinds of things that had never been brought to my attention before. And when I left there, I went back to my husband and I said, I would love to do something like that. It was just amazing at what knowledge they had and how they could help people. And then when I started incorporating a few of the things that they had told me to try for my dog, and she started improving and she gained weight and diarrhea was subsided. And I just, so that just opened my eyes to, oh my gosh, there's so much more out there that I can do for my own dog. And beings that I was in the situation to figure out what else I wanted to do next, we traveled home. And over the next month and a half or so, your advertisements kept popping up. And it probably took me about 6 or 7 times of opening them and looking and going, yeah, that might be good, to really realizing somebody's trying to hit me on the head here and tell me it's right in front of me. And
Dang,
so,
universe.
yeah, I don't know what I was waiting for. But anyway, I went ahead and signed up and I love the course and I'm learning something every day. And there's so many other fantastic coaches in the group with us that I learn from as well. I couldn't imagine have not doing this.
It's amazing. And when that's the thing, it's like, why is it so hard to figure out what another option might be? And it is, it's really hard. And if you're doing a lot of research on the internet, it's super duper confusing too,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of different opinions, some of which are based in fact, some are not.
That's the hardest part, right? Is for a person who hasn't learned anything or doesn't know, you don't know who to believe and who not to. And I was also fearful of making my dog worse. And then obviously I would probably have to take her to the vet and they're going to give me antibiotics and or a whole host of some kind of prescription drugs to try to clear up whatever has happened. So I completely understand where people are confused and you just don't know where to go.
Yeah, and it is very confusing. And it's a lot of things that happens. There is some bandwagon about pet food nutrition or human nutrition that everybody jumps on. And but this doesn't work for me. What do I do now? This doesn't work for my dog. What do I do now? Who do I talk to? And that's a lot of why I created this program and why people are jumping in, because it's just so frustrating when you run out of options and you think there aren't more. And that's my goal, is to present the next option. The women and men in this program that will go to the end of their knowledge and exhaust what knowledge I've got. And if we can't find it, we're going to go out and get it for you. But that's the whole deal, is that there is always another way to approach things. And it may make us dig deep, but that's our goal, is to find that other option for you. And you had a really interesting experience too with your vet recently, where you said, "Hey, was this something you might be interested in?" And what response did you get?
Absolutely. So I did take my girl in to get some blood work done, and I chose to see the vet that entered our practice that I usually go to. I probably pre-pandemic, somewhere around there. Time frames from that period are just blank. And so anyway, I I had the appointment with him and he started asking me about what I was feeding her. Obviously, the other vet has seen her for 12 years and this nice guy has never met her before. So we ran through all of her issues and what I've done and what she's doing now. And he asked what I was feeding her. I told him I cook for her and I do the crock pet diet. And we add some additional supplementation with some herbs. And he was completely just interested in the whole realm that food has changed her life so much. And I'm happy that he was open to the idea of speaking with me about some of the other clients that they have, because if they send you away with a prescription bag and that doesn't work for your dog, you can't tweak it. If we do the crop pet diet and we have a sensitivity test done, we can work through the things that are bothersome, rotation eliminate. There's just so many more things that we can engage in right from the get-go and start helping them feel better. And he seemed very receptive to the idea. And we're going to talk future here and down the road and see if we can't help them a little bit more in their practice. And that, I know that's your goal, is to help alleviate the strain on the veterinary profession. We've all experienced having to call and want to get in and be seen, and they're booked out. Some of my clients, when I communicate with them, they'll say, yeah, I can't even get an appointment for 2.5 months. And that's heartbreaking, because if you have a pet who's in distress or needs help, your only option is to go to the emergency clinic. And that's not where we all want to be either.
Exactly. And this is what's really interesting to me because I remember you telling me that you'd been seeing the same guy for 12 years and he's like, "No, just feed this bag of food." And that was his only answer. And I think unfortunately that's what so many people are getting from their veterinarian. It's like, and they're, believe me, I'm grateful I am not in clinical practice because it has gotten really challenging. And I think the more stressed veterinarians are, the more they feel attacked. When you're not attacking them, you're just asking them for an option. But because they don't have another option, it feels really uncomfortable. And so this is, Lisa, to this point, your conventional vet has said that they wish that they had time to learn more. And that's it. If you're already working 14 hours a day, it's really tough to cram in 3 hours of studying at night. And that's what the goal is. So my hope is that within the next few months, I will start doing some webinars for veterinarians to understand how to work with holistic pet health coaches because that's like, how do I even implement this? They don't even have time to think through that box, much less learning this information for themselves. God bless them because it is really hard right now. And even if you don't like the answers you're getting from them, they're doing their level best just to keep their heads above water. And it is not working out very well.
No,
So,
I think that they also just don't even know the possibility of what we are capable of. And once I think that barrier gets broken and they realize what an asset we can be and work alongside of them, um, we can help this part. They can take care of more critical and do all the diagnosing and open up slots for patients who really need their care. And that's my goal. I really just want people to realize what their options are. And just like for my dog, I feel terrible that it has taken me so late in her life to get it figured out. But I did it. And now I want to scream to the world and say, oh my gosh, it's easy. It's not that hard. We need to just step out there and try it. And like you said, not every same thing works for every pet, but that's the beautiful thing about this is we have so much knowledge to be able to incorporate it individually for each pet that we can make them feel better and resolve a lot of issues just with whole food and diet.
right on. And that's the cool thing is that we have so many industry partners coming in to support the program and to support your ability to help people sort through what the issue is. We just had a call with Innovative Pet Labs who makes this is so awesome. A stool test, you just drop it in a little jar and you mail it in, and then you get information about, is there leaky gut present? Is there malabsorption present? Is there problems with the immune response to the food? And then we can use that information in combination with doing food sensitivity testing and then come up with a whole different plan and know that, yeah, we really need to keep working on the food and flip through different options in terms of proteins, etc., to find the right combination for that specific animal. But that's the frustrating part is that conventional veterinary medicine, they give you the bag of hydrolyzed food, and if that doesn't work, then the next step is antibiotics or steroids or combination of them. And it's just really frustrating because that's not the last stop on food. But
Absolutely
again,
not.
yeah, this is why you exist, a holistic pet health coach that can help people keep pivoting through the options until you find the right one. And it can be a frustrating process, but it is, as you said, it's not that hard. It's just having the persistence to get through it.
Absolutely. It's exciting to see the change when you have a client and their dog has been sick for some time or not feeling well or doesn't eat well, and you get them going on the right recipe, and maybe you haven't even dialed it in yet, but that dog already has improvement and the owner calls you crying or sends you a video of the dog just loving their food, it really makes my day because I also, as a pet parent, when I figured it out, I had that same elated experience of, oh my gosh, we can do this. And I can do it myself. And it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg in specialists, and it's doable for everybody. And so once I think the word gets out there and more people know, give us a try. This is an option that could very well work for you.
Exactly. And Lisa, thank you. You give us the next step. But so Lisa did one of these innovative pet lab tests, and she shared the results with the vet and didn't know what to do with it. And then now what do you do with that results? Lisa, do you have somebody to help you with that? And if you don't, you do now. This is it. These coaches can help you figure out what to do and how to do it and how to use the information. Because that is the frustrating thing with at-home tests. You get a result, and now what do you do? And if you don't have anybody to help you get be guided through that, it's super duper frustrating.
Well,
So
there's different tests and they are all very different. So even when I get a different one in that I don't use regularly, when you scroll through it, I to myself always think, how would a person just get this in the mail and know any where do you start? What do you do? That yes, there's a lot of information, but okay, now what?
right
And I
on.
think that's the fun part of our job. That's when everything really starts and you get to dig into the meat of it. And this is where we're going to really get some results and start helping your pet.
Right on. And Lisa, just in full clarity, I am not working directly with clients any longer because my full attention is in training these beautiful people to be holistic pet health coaches. So this is it. You've got some complex issues going on. I think you've got a baby with possible lymphangiectasia. That's a tough one. And so you really need somebody that's going to be there with you every step of the way to figure it out because it is tough. And Cindy, it doesn't matter where you are. If you go into our website, and Erica, if you can drop that link for the consultation page, that'd be awesome. You just click on that page, learn about how the coaches work, learn how to work with them, and then choose a coach to start working with. And I think you'll be delighted in what you find there. So
There are a lot of talented coaches who also have other modalities and things that they do. And I love that because if I have a question, I reach out to them regarding something that maybe I'm still learning on or I want to better my knowledge on. So I think that there's literally a coach for everyone in one way, shape, or form because there's so many experienced people.
exactly. And there are a lot of women that are human health coaches that have become holistic pet health coaches as well. So that's the other thing that I really love about the community is that everyone is supporting each other. When somebody hits a roadblock, they can post in the community the question, talk on the coaching call on Monday to get information from me about how to change things, what to do, what would be the next steps. And I think that's been marvelous that we're supporting each other and helping to pull each other up in all of this.
Absolutely. I feel like, especially if there is a product that we haven't worked with a lot personally, it's great to get other coaches or your experience of, yeah, I really like that one, or yeah, this in combination with this works really well. I find that
Exactly.
invaluable just because we all don't want to spend a bunch of money. We have a drawer or a cabinet in all of our kitchens, right? With all the stuff that didn't work. We have this little graveyard that seems to grow and grow. That's not my goal is to keep adding to that. We want to find something that we know deep down is helpful and it's a good product and it's going to help your pet.
Right on. Because that's exactly it. There's a lot of stuff that sounds good, and a lot of it is what sounds good because the testimonials sound good. But there's
Advertisement.
but there's one company that has a gut healing kit, and one of our coaches is like, yeah, I'm in their Facebook group, and some people are on their sixth round of this kit. And so what that means is that if it takes a month to go through each kit, this poor pet has been suffering with whatever the symptoms were up until the time they started this and for an additional 6 months, and the pet parent has dropped at least 250 bucks on every kit, so they're now out almost $1,500 with no change whatsoever. So y'all, if you're my good general rule of thumb is that if you do not see changes in your dog, your cat on a particular supplement within 30 days, it's not working and you need to find a different option. And so this is it. Find somebody that can help direct you to the most likely thing to be successful. So instead of just trying this, trying that, and grasping at straws, because that there's a lot of that out there. And there's thousands and thousands of pet supplements, especially around supporting gut health, because that's the big buzzword. Some of them are astonishingly good, some of them are incredibly bad. And it's difficult to know which is which based on what you're reading on a web page.
Or when I get
So,
a client and they send their intake form back to me and they list out everything they're giving, and oh my gosh, that poor pet is getting 5 of the same thing and they don't even know it. So A,
right
waste
on,
of money, but B, not good for the pet, and we can eliminate 90% of that.
right on. Because that's it. Supplements are meant to be a supplement to the diet. And ultimately, some of these guys, it's like they're eating more supplements than food. And
Mhm.
it's just, wow, okay, no, we need to really back this up. So that's, I'm super fond of saying you cannot outpill a bad diet. And if you are having problems, start there. Take everything out of your supplement arsenal and stop it, except for the things you know are helpful, and make everything earn its way back in. And you do that by keeping a journal. So write down all of the symptoms your pet's experiencing and then grade them on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least severe, oh, it's a beautiful day and nothing's happening, 10 being like, oh my God, she feels horrible today because of whatever this symptom is. And then take everything out and do that for 2 weeks, let it clear out of the system and see where you are. Did things get better, stay the same, get worse? And then start adding things back in if you're not working with a coach, and I really strongly encourage you to do this so that you don't have to do this brute force method, is what I call it, of figuring out what does and doesn't work. Get somebody that can sit down and look at the ingredients of each of these things with you, figure out, oh my God, your food sensitivity test says your dog is sensitive to this ingredient in this supplement. Let's get this out of here. So that's where the utility comes in, is let them do the heavy lifting in terms of sorting through the weeds and figuring out what's going to be of benefit and what's not of benefit. And Cindy, we've dropped the link in here. Oh, that's terrible. I hate this kind of stuff. Here is the link where you can go find one of the coaches to work with. This is sadly a very common issue in terms of seizures, and there's a myriad of factors, but also we're giving all sorts of pesticides orally that are supposed to be flea and tick control, right? And your vet tells you you need to give them every month to your dog. And what they don't tell you is that, for instance, on NexGard Bravecto, the FDA has black box. They've put a warning on there saying that these products are associated with causing seizures. So it's just super duper frustrating because there's so many things out there that we need to be mindful of when we're dealing with these young dogs with very severe problems. Anyway, that's my soapbox. So, Sandy, let's jump over to the circle group and see if we can answer a couple of questions. I think that's it. Yeah. And you are welcome, Sandy. Christy, this is a great question. Am I a board certified veterinary nutritionist? No, I am not. Has the Crock-Pet diet been reviewed and approved by a board certified veterinary nutritionist? Yes, it was. And to be crystal clear, it is balanced using a piece of software called Animal Diet Formulator. I use the professional version, and it is complete and balanced for all life stages according to AAFCO standards. So I am not a nutritionist. A veterinary nutritionist would tell you to feed 70% rice or white bread. And I think that's not such a good idea. So Crock-Pot is balanced on the premise of what splitting the macronutrients of protein, fat, and carbohydrate into thirds. As Sandy was saying, it's completely adjustable. So if your dog's had pancreatitis, we can decrease the fats, increase the carbohydrates or protein to balance that out, and make sure that they're getting adequate calories and nutrition. So that's super. And Trish, the calcium is like the bane of our existence. So the idea with calcium citrate is that we're balancing the calcium phosphorus ratio, and that changed recently. So in 2006, after my review with a veterinary nutritionist, this is the amount that he recommended: 2 tablespoons for 3.5 pounds of meat. AFCO changed their standards in 2021, I think it was. And so what we're doing is achieving a calcium phosphorus ratio of 1.2 to 1 with that. So there we are. And then that is needed in order to keep the bones healthy. So I hope that's helpful. And what do you think about this one, Sandy, where this dog's gotten into avocado oil for deep frying yesterday?
I can't see it that close.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
What
Eleonora's asking
kind
about her dog getting into deep frying oil and ate about a mouthful of the oil. So what should she do?
was it already fried in?
Yeah, it's used oil, I think.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Does it say if the dog had a stomach ache or?
That's all I got. So I think, and that's the big worry, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of oil can really create some massive irritation for the gut. So what could she do if you have this situation pop up with your pet? What are some of the action steps you could take to help prevent a massive problem or pancreatitis even?
For upset stomach, a GI, something they have ingested like that, I give my dog a charcoal pill, help get that bind it up and out of there.
Right on. So activated charcoal is great. That's definitely something you need to have in your emergency kit. And then the other thing is anything that's high in fiber or really good at absorbing: boiled white rice, potatoes, just help push all that stuff through. That can be super helpful as well. So yeah, it's definitely you can. I think trying to make these guys vomit with a bunch of oil is not so good because it can irritate the esophagus, and it's all good. So as far as activated charcoal, Lisa, they're the stuff that you can get in the drugstore is often what you need in a hurry. Nature's Way is not a terrible brand. There are better quality ones to have around for sure because some of it is bone char, but there are coconut based charcoals. There's all sorts of cleaner fiber based charcoals. But if you're in an urgent situation, anything will do. And then Wendy is asking about how to help her friend's 7-year-old kitty boy recover from pancreatitis, and what could we do with crock-pet, nutritional recommendations, supplements, that kind of stuff.
That's so hard. We don't have a lot of information. If the vet
Yeah,
giving them to eat or
exactly. And
currently feeding canned diet food or
right. So there's a couple of things you can do. One is we know there's going to be GI inflammation. So again, I think this is important to really work with somebody that can help you formulate a long range plan, because unfortunately for cats, they tend to go into a chronic pancreatitis. So we want to feed a lower fat diet. So this is a situation where we would take maybe that starter recipe for cats and reduce the fat by 50%. And then we know we've got a mess in the GI tract to clean up. So this is where, again, binders can be super helpful. Adding in probiotics, adding in things that will help calm down the GI tract. CBD can be super helpful. This is where you do not want to use digestive enzymes, though, because pancreatitis has caused inflammation in the pancreas because the pancreatic enzymes are in there self-digesting the pancreas. So it's really critical to feed super bland, super easy to digest foods along with a lower fat regimen. But it's really tricky with kitties, sadly.
I had
And
something that it's come up more than I thought it would as far as when I'm talking to clients and they want their pet to lose weight because they're obese, or a lot of people, I guess I don't want to say a lot of people, but some people think their pets are not overweight and they really are. But then there are the people who know that they're overweight and they want to do something about it. And my daughter even fell into this category. She had a little dog that's older, and everybody commented the minute they would come to visit, "Oh my gosh, she's so fat. Why don't you put her on a diet?" My daughter felt guilty and would just cut back her food. This little dog was hardly eating twice a day, and she was still not losing anything. If anything, just puffier than ever. And when you switch over to a whole food diet and you're supplementing and making it a balanced diet, it's amazing when you get rid of the inflammation, right? And you're feeding them exactly how much they need. She doesn't inhale the food anymore because she feels starving all the time. She has gone down a whole collar size for a small
Wow.
dog. She looks amazing. Her eyes are bright. She's jumping on furniture again. And that was just with diet change. But the part that I want to emphasize to people is that when you cut back or withhold food from a dog to try to get them to lose weight, they're getting less of the amount of nutrients that they need. And my daughter didn't consider that at all. And when she started telling me, well, I've cut her back another quarter cup of food a day, I just want to make sure that people take that into account if they are doing that or considering giving them less food, because they're not going to get what they need. Her hair wasn't very good. There's just other fallout things that come with not having a well balanced diet. But it's sadder when you're giving them less food. They're acting like they're starved. They devour and almost eat the bowl when you do feed them. And that's not what's going to fix it.
And that's a super good point. Sadly, the way nutrients are delivered to our pets in commercial food is based on them consuming a certain number of kilocalories per day. So if you're cutting it back and you're not adding in some sort of a multivitamin supplement, they're not going to get the nutrition they use, even though they're eating a bag of food that is complete and balanced by all AFCO standards for all life stages, right? So that's the idea, is that, yes, feed a whole foods diet and then give them a complete of some sort of multivitamin. And I'd love to say holistic total body support, which, yes, I know it's on back order. We're getting, it should be in by the end of the month. Manufacturing is always fun. It's critical to add something in as you're trying to refeed this kitty's body. And the other issue is too, is that so many of the commercial cat foods are extremely high in processed carbohydrates. And there's a great deal of evidence that this is actually a big component of what's creating so many pets with pancreatitis, both in an acute situation and a chronic situation. So thanks for bringing that up. That's
It's just something that I find when people say, I want my pet to lose weight. So when we get into diving into it and the questions of how much are you feeding? What are you feeding? Those type of things, I'm surprised by how many people are cutting back the quantity thinking that is going to make them lose weight, when in fact you're doing a whole other host of issues that are going to come up.
right on. So, yeah, so keep that in mind. And Ashley is asking about ear hematomas. Um, and this is really interesting. So, ear hematomas, about 7 or 8 years ago, we started seeing a lot of I started seeing a lot of dogs that had them and did not have an infection. And so then I think you have to wonder about how well the vascular system is working, right? If all it takes is a pop to create a fairly significant bleed. And so that's where you really need to dial in what's happening with the nutrition, make sure that they're getting adequate nutrition if they've had other stressful situations that are going to create a higher demand for certain nutrients like B vitamins, zinc, vitamin A, that kind of stuff. That's where you need to be cognizant of that and maybe add a little bit more. And then ultimately, what this might mean to me is that there is inflammation at the level of the vascular system. And so that's where, even though this is like, how did you get from ear hematoma to a leaky gut, Dr. Ruth? what I'm trying to can you explain that, Sandy, that this train of logic?
It's crazy because when that gut microbiome is not sealed and healthy, everything passes through and it spreads throughout the body. That's what we're working towards, is getting our pets healthier so that we can get that barrier sealed back up and healthy. They can retain the nutrients and the vitamins and their body can utilize those for what they're meant to.
Exactly. So if you're seeing something that says there is excess levels of inflammation present, that could be this ear hematoma like Ashley's dealing with. It could be anal glands filling up all the time. It could be that they're chewing at their feet, or something that seems relatively trivial. That's telling you that something is out of balance in the body, and often there is an excessive level of inflammation present. That's, I mean, it sounds nuts to keep going back there, but really that's where problems start. Whether you're considering this in functional medicine or whether you're looking at it in terms of traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, everything that's going south starts with digestion and the ability of the gut to do its job properly, to keep the outside and get the nutrients to the inside safely. So that's the whole ball game right there. Dave, sorry to hear your Jack Russell Corgi started peeing in the house randomly. And so here's this urinalysis, which is lots of info. And really, it looks pretty cool, pretty calm. So if this was a cystocentesis, meaning they tap the bladder, that's why the blood may be there. And oddly enough, estrogen actually is an awesome option. And hopefully you're seeing some improvement from this. So likely this is like a hormone responsive inability to keep the urine in. And I'm sorry, I lost the $10 word briefly. But here's the other issue that may be creating some of the underlying issues is that you're feeding dry food to a 17-year-old dog that is now running around about 3 to 5% dehydrated because of the dry food, and she's peeing it back out. So one of the first things I would say is, what would you say for this, Andy? Actually, I'll let you jump in on that.
I don't know what kind of estrogen. I can't, the screen is literally so small. I apologize. I can't read it. But
No worry, no worry. And it doesn't matter about the estrogen. Really, the issue is what's being fed, I think,
yeah,
which is dry
absolutely.
food.
It's dry kibble. Yeah, getting
Yeah.
to a moist diet is huge. I don't think until even when I noticed when I switched my dogs to the crock pet diet and they like theirs a little soupier, just I can just tell their nose, they're not drinking as much, making sure that they have the adequate amount in their food sets them up for not letting that happen. Now, depending on when they were spayed, some different things like that that we go over, those could be causes or we can help with that. But mainly getting that moist food in there is going to make a huge difference.
Right on. And that's it. So if you've got enough moisture on board, strangely, this actually ends up supporting the kidneys better and reducing the incidence of urinary accidents or incontinence. That was the word I was searching for. But the reason I said estrogen is not such a bad thing is this. If we know that we spay and neuter our pets and there is a hormone that becomes really super high for these spayed and neutered pets, this is what happens is luteinizing hormone gets to be 20 to 30 times that of an intact dog in spayed and neutered dogs and cats. And that's because the mechanism to tell the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland to stop producing gonadotropin releasing hormone, the thing that tells the tissues. So, spayed dogs, now it's telling the adrenal glands to make more luteinizing hormone. If we have no feedback mechanism to shut that off, then we start to see symptoms related to excess levels of luteinizing hormone, what I'm calling spay neuter syndrome. Urinary incontinence is one of them, but there's receptors everywhere. They're in the brain, the adrenal glands, the bones, the joints, the bone marrow, the liver, the kidneys, the gut. And so I believe that a lot of the chronic disease we are seeing is a result of this. So essentially, by your veterinarian giving you estrogen, you now have the shutoff mechanism to stop the GnRH production. And honestly, you may see your dog start to feel better and move better because it's shutting down the luteinizing hormone production, which will in turn reduce the number of receptors for luteinizing hormone tissues that shouldn't have them. And you may start to see a spring in your dog's step because the receptors in the joints are no longer present and they're not creating inflammation in the joints. So keep track on that and keep us posted. But I think it's a good idea to use estrogen, and or there is a guy named David Bieber that has a site called Dogsterone, and he is training veterinarians how to use testosterone injections to support dogs with arthritis and the frailty of aging. Again, what he's doing is shutting off that GnRH production and dropping levels of luteinizing hormone with this therapy. So there's a little helpful hint for you. It is all of the stuff out there in the world that you're hearing. It's the over-vaccination, the overuse of pesticides, the frightening things that are in the environment that we're all eating, breathing, and drinking. But for dogs and cats, I think this is the underlying mechanism for the explosion of chronic disease we're seeing.
And we
So,
love to support that. Whole
yeah,
foods, get the inflammation taken care of. It's amazing how good your pets feel.
exactly. And so that's it. We're not putting the ovaries and testicles back in, but what we can do is help the body deal with this in a better way. Cool. Sandy, thank you so much for joining today. I
Thank
hope
you for
you
having
all
me.
enjoyed meeting Sandy. And Eric, if you could throw Sandy's link back up one more time, that would be awesome. Reach out to Sandy. She can help you figure out some options. And again, we have I think we're at 50 coaches that have graduated the program now. We have another 75 students that are enrolled. They're really making a massive difference. Got some of our other fabulous coaches on with us, Delora, Maggie. You make my heart sing because this is absolutely thrilling to me to see you making a difference in the world.
I
So
think
with that,
made the
yeah,
difference by teaching all of us to spread the word and help everybody figure this out.
thanks. With pleasure. All right. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next week and keep those questions coming. Thanks. And if you aren't familiar with where I was showing you, we do have the Facebook group, but this is where the coaches are in there supporting you and go from there. So, Cindy, I think one of our folks can reach out to you on Messenger. Otherwise, you can reach SupDR. If I can type, we're good. Email them, catch that email, and email the staff, and they'll get you some help and get you in contact with our coaches. So until next week, have a wonderful week. Hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day. Cheers.